Something is simmering behind the scenes, and it all started with that leaked baby drama video. Fans are ecstatic when a private encounter between Scrappy and Shakira was made public online, but what really got people talking were the consequences. Among Atlanta's most volatile group, because Karlie Redd and Scrappy's ex were seen celebrating and dousing the fire with gasoline the same night the video was aired. There are rumors that Rashida was caught off guard when she saw the clip. Rumors are already spreading that Rashida had had enough. She allegedly stormed into Karlie's dressing room at a cast event and said, "You still want my husband?" According to witnesses, the family was divided, angry words erupted, and security had to step in. Mandassis is reportedly caught between the chaos of leaked direct chats and his wife's love. Fans are shocked to learn that a single clip may become viral. Long-lasting friendships and test marriages on television. After this surprising change of events, everyone is wondering, did Karlie really cross a line, or is Rashida overreacting to protect her marriage? Keep an eye out, because this conflict promises more betrayal, more sorrow, and a clash that Atlanta won't soon forget. Rasheeda first saw the video in the early hours of the morning, while it was still dark. Alarms were buzzing on her phone long before she opened her eyes. A popular rumor website has included a little video of Shakira and Scrappy. The first out-of-context laughter, which sounds less like a loving joke and more like a confession. Another video underneath it showed Karlie Redd clutching a phone while recreating the same scenario at a cast meeting, obviously enjoying the drama. Rashida's heart sagged. She remembered that night well. Kirk had taken her away, promising to invite them to a special dinner in honor of their wedding anniversary. Shakira had laughed as she leaned into Kirk's embrace, unaware that Karlie was close by, filming her private moment and using it as a weapon. Her mind racing, she glanced over the remarks. Karlie struck once again. Rashida's marriage is in jeopardy. Was the closest friend of Karlie deceived? The supporters took sides, shocked. Some believed Rashida had good reason to be angry. Others whispered that she admired Karlie's unwavering command of the spotlight. Rashida was in pain and furious. She walked around her bedroom after getting out of bed, recalling every moment she had spent with Karlie. Parenthood, balancing job and family responsibilities, and surviving a profession that was preoccupied with sex and scandal had brought them closer. Was it really so callous of Karlie to betray her? When Kirk emerged from the guest bathroom, he felt drowsy. Rasheeda had a firm resolve. She held her phone out to him. On the screen, the video was framed. "Did you realize this?" His eyes were blurry when he blinked. "Do you know what?" She pressed the play button. When Kirk realized how big the leak was, his face went white. "I heard someone share something," he began. Rashida cut him off. "You gave someone permission to hear Shakira's private laughter. Karlie was the first to republish it." Kirk faltered. "I failed to see Karlie. Give it out." "I didn't see it trending." Until much later, Rashida shook her head and started to weep. "To burn. You knew, Kirk. You heard her laughing about it with the staff." Kirk closed his eyes and rubbed his temples. "I swear, Rashida, I didn't know she would act that way. I thought the talk was lighthearted." Rashida's voice trembled. "Innocent conversation made me appear foolish on every television in Atlanta. I seemed to be a trophy wife rather than a strong mother and businesswoman like Rasheeda Frost." She recoiled from Kirk's hold. Then he whispered, "Please, not at this moment." She walked away and changed into jeans and a sweatshirt. Kirk grabbed his phone. "Wait a minute. I'll give you a call." Rashida couldn't wait. Then she picked up her keys and headed to the studio to shoot the next episode. She committed to confronting Karlie face-to-face in order to resolve the issue once and for all. There was an exciting mood at the studio lot. In the corners, crew workers were whispering to one another about Rashida's sudden presence. Reporters hovered outside the gates, their lenses focused on the tall glass building. Inside, Karlie Redd was preparing for an individual interview. She was putting on makeup and adjusting her hair, but she peered nervously at the monitors that showed the published footage. Consistently, she felt the weight of Rashida's gaze even before the doors opened. Rashida then came onto the set. "It's all business." She approached Karlie without any fuss and put on my cosmetics. Karlie looked up, startled. "Rashida, what are you doing here?" Rashida said nothing. She crossed her arms, talked softly. "Now we have to talk." Karlie swallowed the brush in her hand, hovering. "I'm working on a project." Rashida cut her off. "You have the potential to ruin my marriage?" On the set, there was quiet. The extras became chilly. Assistants dropped their scripts. The director massaged the bridge of his nose. Rolling cameras caught unscripted reality. Karlie set the brush down and straightened her shoulders. "I didn't release the video, Rasheeda. I watched it like everyone else." Rashida's eyes became wide. You were the first to grin, like if they had won something. Don't be stupid. Karlie took a big breath. I was watching the video to make sure it was real. I had no idea that my laughter would be seen as a party. Rashida laughed, a celebration of a sound that is bitter. You were pleased. In the best drama group chat, you shared it. Karlie's face dissolved. That talk is a joke, Rashida. Such a leak was unanticipated. Rashida shook his head. My family is now in risk from jokes. I defended you all morning when Kirk remarked, you were just caught up in the fun. Well, fun doesn't make me look foolish on camera, I responded. Karlie stepped up and said quietly, I'm very sorry, but I didn't mean to hurt you. Rashida's eyes hardened. Sorry doesn't make the damage go away. At that moment, Kirk ran to the set from his house. Then the two women appeared. The tension in the air was palpable to him. Rashida, he silently said, let's continue. Rashida brushed him aside. No, I want Karlie to look me in the eye. Looking at Karlie, Kirk's eyes implored, please give me a moment. Rashida turned back to Karlie. Do you still have feelings for my husband? The question reverberated. The assistants on the studio wall let out a gasp. Extras were relocated. Karlie's jaw sprang wide in shock. Rashida opened her mouth to speak, then held out a hand. Answer me. Kirk took Rashida's arm in his. It's not the appropriate time or the place, but Rashida flinched away. My marriage is always in danger of disintegrating. Karlie's jaw clenched. You don't want Kirk to be that way. She looked directly into Rashida's eyes and spoke strongly. I think of him as a friend. Rashida's eyes narrowed. My reality was being manipulated by you, buddy, as if it were a narrative element. Tears sparkled in her eyes. I believed in you. Karlie's shoulders sagged. I disappointed you, but I didn't mean to betray you. Rashida shook her head in a soft, sorrowful voice. Intent is not enough when there is real effect. Kirk wrapped his arm around Rashida's waist and stepped forward to help her back. We had to go. Rashida paused and looked at Karlie. I need space. Exhausted and terrified by the confrontation, she allowed Kirk to take her away, leaving Karlie by herself as they went. On video, Karlie was seen standing in the lights of the set, with her face concerned and her hand placed to her breast. On the monitors behind her, the leaked footage kept playing, serving as a sobering reminder of how quickly private moments may be used for public purposes. Throughout the lot, murmurs turned into shouts. Did you see Rashida's question? Karlie seems to be at fault. Are they ending their friendship? Rashida was resting against a wall backstage with her head down. Kirk said quietly while kneeling in front of her, I'm sorry, he said. And Rashida said, I wish I could fix this. She put her eyes to his forehead. We'll figure it out, she whispered. But her heart was filled with uncertainty. She knew the road ahead would be paved with betrayal, strained friendships, and the watchful eyes of admirers who wanted to know what would happen next. The real storm was unknown to her. Just the start. The day after the heated encounter, there was a lot of whispered talk in the lot. Rashida arrived early, moving with a resolute stride. Kirk ran a hand through his hair and followed. Clearly still reeling after the last encounter, they proceeded straight to the makeup trailer, bypassing the usual morning chit-chat. Karlie's shocked reaction was mirrored in Rashida's mind. Now she needed more than an apology. She needed explanation. After entering the trailer, Rashida closed the door. Kirk leaned on the counter and said quietly, Do you really want to work on this? She gave him a direct glance. I have to protect us. He nodded reluctantly. She paced as she watched new video on her phone of their fight. The public's attention was drawn closer with each posting. She had agreed to film the next scene, but her heart wasn't in it. Kirk took hold of her hand. I'll be with you. She swallowed and let him lead her out. In the meanwhile, Karlie was filming a confessional in the following teaser. Even with flawless makeup, her smile seemed brittle. She stared into the camera. I had no intention of hurting Rashida. She began softly. This is a job that depends on drama, and I thought I was beyond it. She paused, blinking to hide her feelings. I was pals with both of them. I feel like the bad guy. Assistant producers were waiting for her signal outside. Karlie clenched her hands. Determined to change the record, the director requested a stage brunch for scene 17, which was meant to show friendly conversation. The performers sat around a wooden table, the tension crackling like static. Yandi approached Rashida with a dish of fruit and embraced her cautiously. Rashida approached Kirk, who was handling the plates, and gave him a forced smile. Mendez took his seat opposite Rashida, and Karlie nodded slightly. The cameras began to roll. I've always cherished the sisterhood, Yandi said, taking a deep breath when the producer asked, Talk about your favorite memories on the show. Her eyes drifted to Karlie. The mood shifted. Rashida's expression stiffened. Karlie cleared her throat. "Remember, when we all took part in that charity event?" Rashida snapped as she asked in a cheerful tone. She remembered the hush money rumor. That followed, and she looked at Kirk, who smiled weakly at her, shattering the friendly facade. Rashida broke the stillness after a few pre-written sentences, a quieter but stronger voice than before. "Karlie, may I ask you a question?" The nervous-looking producer gulped, and Karlie turned, raising her eyebrows. Indeed, Rashida's gaze was direct. "Why did you show everyone the clip?" Karlie's jaw opened and froze for a moment. As admirers waited behind the cameras, whispers floated across the monitors, and Karlie's breath caught in her throat. Before she could reply, a faraway phone alarm chimed on his, and she opened her mouth to speak, but closed it again. A ringtone? She glanced at her phone under the table. "It's from Shakira," she muttered, and Kirk glanced at Rashida. Glaring bewilderment. Yandi sat in the back seat, holding out the phone to let everyone know who Shakira was. The group exchanged glances. The drama had just altered again. A brand new video clip had surfaced on a gossip website, and Kirk and Rashida were huddled over Yandi's phone in the parking lot outside the location. Rashida's scream echoed off the concrete walls as it showed Karlie selling additional exclusives, and whispering to Scrappy's ex how hot the leaked baby footage was. When Kirk asked Karlie, his face became white and his voice broke. "That wasn't you!" Karlie shook her head, tears in her eyes. "The video became viral even though I didn't say anything because the subtitles were changed to make her voice seem contemptuous. Hersing they're editing everything." Gandhi patted Rashida's shoulder and whispered, "We can't even trust what's real," sparking something new from Rashida's rage. She looked at Kirk and said, "We'll find out the truth about this." Kirk nodded and inhaled. "I know we have to stand together. Your friend." 3 individuals in that lot came to a covert agreement. Either reveal the fraud or let it consume you. With her eyes burning with determination, Rashida returned to the stage and walked up to the director, quietly telling him that she couldn't continue unless the fake film was rectified. The director gazed at the producers, who debated whether to halt filming. Finally, a decision. Bring everyone together for a last picture. The crew hurriedly repositioned cameras for a final round. Mandesses, Karlie, Yandi, Kirk, and Rashida took a half-circle seat. The director called for action. "Let's make things clear," he said. Rashida leaned forward. "This morning's footage has been altered. It's making me seem insane." She frowned at Karlie. Karlie's voice trailed off. "I swear I never said anything like that." Mendes added his voice to the lines. "We're all targets here, and someone is trying to turn us against each other." Yandi nodded, "And we have to stop it." As the cameras captured their raw features, cries of solidarity began. Karlie dried her tears. "I don't know who did it, but I want to help find the truth, so I'm sorry you had to witness it." Rashida eased her posture. Kirk leaned across the table and took Karlie's hand. Yandi smiled slightly, and Bendy's head bowed. There seemed to be a genuine moment of unity under the flickering lights of reality TV. But before the director could order cut, a new alert rang on the crew's phones. Shakira had condemned the use of her own time as a weapon in a social media post. The monitors immediately displayed the social stream, and the cast and staff watched Shakira's video as it aired. As if it were gospel, she spoke about respect, phone restrictions, and how personal anguish is utilized for entertainment. The producer covered her lips, and her large eyes remained silent. "This cannot go on at her cost," Rashida said firmly as she arose. Karlie nodded, sobbing, and Kirk exhaled and closed his eyes. Yandi's voice was soft as Mendes patted Rashida back. "We owe it to her and to ourselves to be better." The cameras kept rolling, but this time it more closely resembled an admission than a scheme. Lines were composed on the spot, scripts were thrown away, and the day's session began differently, when everyone apologized on camera to Shakira and to each other. As the sun sank, the participants turned their attention from stage drama to a shaky reunion, and although tensions remained, for the first time since the release of the tape, they were fighting the right battle against dishonesty, manipulation, and the thirst for controversy. In the middle of all the mayhem, Rashida realized that the actual battle was not with Shakira, Karlie, or Scrappy, but rather with a culture that thrived on tearing people apart, one leak at a time. On the third day of filming, Rashida and Kirk arrived to the set to an almost deafening studio, and she vowed to remain watchful and close to her friends, ready to bear whatever twist this story would throw at her. Rashida realized that the storm was far from over, but the tone had shifted from accusation to an uneasy ceasefire after Tasha's confession and yesterday's round table. Somewhere beyond the smiles and apologies, There were unanswered questions. Rashida took a deep breath as the crew shut down the lights and cameras, remembering the first time she learned Shakira and Scrappy's private jokes about potential baby names have been transformed into something offensive in the video. That smirk stoked the fire, and the first hurt had turned to rage when she spotted Karlie watching it on her phone. The director called on everyone to act, and the real culprit now acknowledged that she still felt raw. A scenario including just walking an informal discussion was to be filmed in an empty courtyard. But Rashida had asked for one change, wanting Kirk to be there as a physical sign of support. Kirk slipped his arm around hers as they entered the courtyard, the bright light casting sharp shadows. Other crew members hovered around the periphery. Phones are ready. Rashida's heart thumped. She would speak without a script in this situation. "What are you planning to do next?" the director said. "We're rebuilding," Rashida replied, her voice cracking with intensity as she glanced at Kirk and then directly at the camera. Kirk squeezed her arm and said, "And that takes time." "There was betrayal, rumors, and a leak meant to destroy us," he remarked. "However, we continue to advance." The cameras recorded every little movement Rashida's head made, raised. Observers would feel unified due to Kirk's defensive stance, but while they spoke, Rashida's mind drifted to Karlie's emotional disclosure in the booth, when Karlie had insisted that the tape's alterations had portrayed her as guilty. He should believe it, Rashida thought, but he wasn't sure. When the director hit the cut button, the producer arrived with a tablet that showed a fresh headline. The production issue overshadows Rasheeda and Kirk. Rashida's shoulders became square and muscular. Next, she needed to face this consistently. False narrative, Kirk agreed, understanding her covert aim. They positioned themselves by a stone fountain, and the next photo was surprising a open communication. Rashida looked at Kirk and said quietly for the rolling mics, "Is it true that Karlie didn't know?" Kirk furrowed his brow. He said that he would like to trust her, but Rashida sighed because her laughter was joyful. He stroked her palm and said, "Why, Kirk, I need the whole truth. We'll watch the unedited video and get it. Talk to everyone." She depended on him tonight. Just us, no cameras, just the two of us. Kirk kissed her on the temple. Karlie, meantime, was preparing for her own scenes throughout the property, and their commitment was intimate and sincere in contrast to the orchestrated spectacle surrounding them. The discovery had almost ruined her career, and she wore a lovely gray sweater to hide her sorrow. Karlie was the villain. She had heard fans tweeting, and she had seen celebrity remarks on morning shows. Damage control is urgent, her agent had told her over the phone, and although Karlie wanted to deny the theft, she also understood that she needed to publicly apologize. Rashida's truth, she wrote a statement as a result. "I am neither a traitor nor a manipulator. After being tricked, I decided to expose the fraud." Kirk left her alone and went to check in with the director, while Rashida walked back to the courtyard and took a moment to collect her thoughts. Tasha continued to look around the borders of the set, regret creeping in. Pulling herself together, Rashida remarked in a voice, "Tasha, firm." The assistant lowered her head. Tasha responded, "I apologize, but this was not my intention." Rashida was furious, recalling Tasha's tearful confession. She viewed Tasha as sincere and realized how easy it had been to blame Karlie. "I'm sorry, do you know what caused this?" Tasha brushed away her tears. Rashida asked. Rashida gasped, "I didn't believe it would harm you. I wanted to be part of the rumors for attention." She replied, "Your choices ruined my marriage," and Tasha nodded. "I'll do all in my power to help mend it. Help mend it." Rashida glanced at Kirky, who was watching from afar, then began by narrating the entire story. She suggested letting go of some of the burden. The director gathered the cast and crew and brought them back for another take. The producer said that the whole cast would collaborate to shoot a new confessional segment, and Mendez and Karlie even appeared on the screen. As everyone took their seats, Rashida looked around at these faces, those of her betrayed friends, supporters, and adversaries. For a moment, she felt the old wound reopen, and then she remembered clutching Kirk's hand. Tasha's humiliation, Karlie's sincere promise, and Yandi's unwavering support. This would not be a situation where blame is placed. It would be about accountability. The cameras began to roll. Erica was the first to speak, and her voice was distinct. "We all aired." Gandini nodded. "We let the rumors rule our identity." Tasha remarked, "I was played," and Karlie's voice trailed off. "I passed the video because I believed it to be genuine and it wasn't dangerous. We underestimated the speed at which pain spreads." DC said. Kirk gazed at Rashida, who took a steady breath. "Trust is brittle. It only takes a second to erode and dozens to restore, she said softly when it was her turn. Cameras captured the candor in their eyes as Kirk took her hand and said, "But we owe it to each other and to Shakira's dignity to do this right." As the director shouted, "Cut!" the sun had moved, the shadows were growing longer. The impromptu confession video, which revealed the cast's fragility, will be transformed into a special web video. As the crew discussed the next scene, Rashida felt a ray of hope. The reality had surfaced. The offender had confessed, and the actors had shown their injuries. However, she knew that recuperation would not end with the cameras gone. Using their phones, fans waited outside the courtyard gates for the next update. Kirk caught Rashida's attention. She said, "This is not at all over." Kirk nodded. "But we're not the only ones." Together, they walked off the scene, ready for whatever. Real drama lay outside the studio. The atmosphere was charged with excitement when the actors gathered at a lavish rooftop club in the evening. It was supposed to be a private wrap-up dinner. Pergolas with fairy lights hung from them gently illuminate polished tables. But there were strong tensions behind the beauty. Rashida arrived first, looking confident and svelte in a black jumpsuit that highlighted her curves. Kirk pursued it. The bow tie loosened as eyes scanned the crowd for any hint of betrayal. They maintained that this evening was about closure, but Rashida could feel the tension in each of the earlier entrees. Yandy smiled sympathetically as she took a seat next to him. Erica sat down opposite him and clutched her wine glass as if it were a source of solace and security. Karlie and Menaces joined forces, an image of solidarity that appeared to mock Rashida's lingering doubt. Despite the prior apologies and shared tears, a subtle undercurrent of mistrust flowed behind their placid exteriors. Waiters passed with platters of fish tartar and little meat Wellingtons. All of the topics, including future projects, charity events, and even rumors of a potential spin-off season, were politely discussed by the group before returning to that catastrophic leak. And their respective roles in the chaos, Rashida drank something, her shimmering water, inhaling deeply before proceeding. "It took a lot for me to stand here with all of you," she said in a low but firm voice, turning heads. The moonlight glinted in Erica's eyes. Forgiveness and betrayal have been on my mind at the same time. The table froze. Karlie's fingers tightened on her napkin. Yandy Mendez leaned forward, his eyes dropping. Remorse was etched on his face. "However, being truthful does not have mean being unpleasant. As Rashida said, we built our brand on being real." She paused. "Like a television show, we turned intimate moments into weapons." What she said weighed heavily on the table, and for the first time since the leak, no one spoke. The servers hovered, holding their forks in midair, unsure whether there would be violence or peace. Erica set down her wine glass. Her expression was genuine. Her sorrows softened her features. "I own my part," she shouted. "I apologize for using my voice as an offensive tool," she continued, turning to Rashida. "It's quick to point the finger, quick to mock, and slow to understand the pain I caused." Rashida nodded once. That apologies was earned. Then Yanduwai's voice became reflective. "I believed that by speaking up, I was defending Shakira," she said. "I was unable to distinguish between exploitation and promotion." She glanced across to Karlie. "In addition, I'm sorry for adding fuel to a fire that wasn't mine." Rashida's kind smile as she accepted the apology was captured on disguised cameras, and it would subsequently generate news about genuine healing. Karlie got to her feet, chin trembling. The clink of her bracelet broke the stillness. "I allowed the fact that I was depicted as the adversary defined who I was for a long curt words. I know my heart." She looked at Rashida. "You were my sister. I should have protected you instead of hurting you." Damn, I'm so sorry." The person seated closest, Kirk, put out his arm. He answered, "We forgive you," calmly. Rashida's throat tightened at the sight of her. Karlie's husband's pity in her cathartic release and her posture. Mendez cleared his throat, drawing attention. "I thought neutrality meant weakness," he added. "I tried to keep things harmonious by making myself invisible, but my wife suffered the most as a consequence." He bowed his head. Rashida reached out and took his hand. "I felt abandoned," she said softly. For a brief time, relief filled his face, as he smiled through tears, "But I am aware that you have your heart with me." The group seemed unattained as characters since they were flawed human people. A dark chocolate mousse was placed on the table as the servers returned to their duties. The mood lifted as the group laughed at Yandy's account of her child's school play. In addition, Kirk's karaoke performance earlier in the day was ridiculed by Erica. Karlie even joined in. Recalling a blunder from a past session, viewers were given a story of atonement rather than endless conflict as a result of that genuine laugh echoing around the cameras. As the atmosphere brightened, a soft ping from the lounge's communal screen revealed a message from Shakira, conveying her gratitude and affection. Everyone who remembered that private moment deserves respect. Let's defend each other's dignity. As the message filled the screen, everyone in the group exchanged startled, tearful looks. Rashida's lips curved into a gratified smile. Shakira's comments reinforced their efforts. Their activities. The waitresses brought little glasses, candles, with the phrases respect, forgiveness, unity, and trust. Rashida lit a trust candle and turned it counterclockwise. The next was lit by the first. Erica for forgiveness, Kirk for respect, Yandi for unity, Karlie for honesty, and Mendeces for love. As the crew dispersed and the cameras were switched off, the circle of lights stood for a consensus to go on as a unit. The real closeness showed. Rashida rubbed her hands together and cuddled up to Karlie. "I'm really happy we talked," she whispered. Karlie answered honestly. Rashida nodded, her eyes glimmering with relief. "I missed my pal too." They applauded, an unguarded moment of candor that was captured on camera. Kirk and Mendeces stepped aside, giggling at their husband's easy humor. The words, "We will overcome anything," said Kirk. Mendez nodded. Brotherhood was maintained. Yandi and Erica joined them, and they shared contact details for a joint charitable endeavor, ready to restore their sisterhood and support causes that are not in the public eye. It was the last